before sunrise on April 26, 1942, deep under the city of Benxihu in northeast China, routine turned into catastrophe. A violent gas and coal dust explosion tore through the tunnels of the Honkeiko, Benxihu Colliery. By the time the smoke cleared, 1,549 miners were dead, making it the worst coal mining disaster ever recorded. Today, we'll retrace those final hours, what led to the blast, how decisions taken above ground sealed miners' fate, and what the world should never forget. The Benxihu or Honkeiko Colliery sat near Benxihu, in Liaoning province, an ore-rich region developed in the early 20th century as part of the Benxihu Coal and Iron Company. By the 1930s, after Japan's invasion of northeast China, the area fell under Manchukuo, a Japanese puppet state. The mine's control shifted heavily to Japanese administrators, and production fed the wider war economy. Surviving accounts describe harsh, coercive conditions for Chinese laborers, 12-hour shifts or more, poor sanitation, disease, food scarcity, and brutal discipline. The mine perimeter was fenced and guarded. Multiple historical investigations and retellings emphasize a regime resembling forced labor under occupation. Coal mines battle two invisible killers, methane, CH4, and fine coal dust. Both are explosive. Methane builds in pockets. Coal cutting and blasting spread dust that can suspend in air. A spark, hot surface, or even a frictional ignition can trigger a flame front. In poor housekeeping or inadequate dust control, a methane ignition can raise dust and become a devastating dust explosion escalating through galleries, especially if ventilation and explosion barriers are inadequate. General coal mine explosion science. In Benxihu, that lethal combination, gas and coal dust, ignited and propagated fast. Early shift, April 26, 1942. Underground production proceeds in multiple panels. Around mid-morning, time varies by account, a violent ignition occurs. A pressure wave surges through headings. Flames burst from the shaft mouth. Surface witnesses see smoke and fire at the pit head. In the chaos, families rush to the gates, but Japanese guards cordon off the area. In a fateful move to control the fire, the administration reportedly cut ventilation and sealed the pit to starve the flames of oxygen. Not all workers had been evacuated. Many who survived the initial blast were now trapped behind stoppings, and as oxygen fell, carbon monoxide rose. For countless miners, death came by asphyxiation and CO poisoning, not burn trauma. After the fire subsided, reopening took time. Recovery teams labored for about 10 days to reach bodies and clear debris. The dead, many unidentifiable due to burns and decomposition, were buried in mass graves nearby. In the immediate aftermath, official reports minimized the disaster. Early Japanese figures cited only a few dozen deaths in brief dispatches. A memorial stone later erected by the Japanese quoted 1,327 dead, but post-war assessments placed the true toll at 1,549, with 31 Japanese and 1,518 Chinese victims. Following Japan's defeat in 1945, investigations, including Soviet inquiries, criticized the decision to seal the pit while miners remained underground, concluding that most deaths resulted from carbon monoxide rather than blast injuries. The choice to shut down ventilation, an approach sometimes used in limited, controlled situations, became catastrophic here because of late evacuation and the scale of entrapment. The mine continued under new control after the war. The event remained a grim benchmark in global mining safety literature. Immediate causes: ignition of methane and coal dust in workings, flame and pressure wave propagated through dusty entries. Contributory technical factors, likely based on historical patterns in similar accidents. Inadequate ventilation and gas monitoring by modern standards. Insufficient stone dusting, rock dust barriers, or explosion isolation. Potential electrical mechanical ignition sources or blasting timing controls, inference based on common failure modes in coal mines of that era. Organizational systemic factors. coercive labor regime under wartime occupation, long shifts and poor safety culture. Emergency management failure, sealing the mine and cutting ventilation before full evacuation, causing mass CO, carbon monoxide, fatalities. Why coal dust turned a bad day into the worst? Coal dust acts as a fuel amplifier. Once airborne and ignited, it extends a methane blast far beyond the original ignition site. That's why modern practice insists on rigorous rock dusting, housekeeping, and dust sampling. Most of the 1,549 were local Chinese miners, sons, fathers, brothers. Some had survived the explosion, only to fall to CO behind sealed stoppings. Families gathered at the fence, waiting for names that never came. Recovery teams worked day after day in suffocating conditions, retrieving bodies and wreckage. For the city of Benxihu, the mine's smokestack became a memorial silhouette. Disasters like Benxihu shaped modern mine safety worldwide. Gas detection and continuous monitoring, strict ventilation planning, mandatory rock dusting to neutralize coal dust explosibility, explosion barriers, water troughs, and engineered isolation, hot work permits, electrical safety in gassy mines and intrinsically safe equipment, emergency response doctrines prioritizing evacuation and ventilation, not sealing, in the presence of survivors, unless conditions absolutely preclude it. Training, drills, self-rescuers, and refuge strategies. While technology advanced, Benxihu remains a reminder that organizational choices can outweigh hardware. Methane becomes explosive in air, roughly between 5 to 15%. A small ignition can raise coal dust into a cloud, lowering the minimum explosible concentration threshold. Carbon monoxide, odorless, deadly, binds to hemoglobin over 200 times more strongly than oxygen, turning survivable minutes into tragedy when ventilation is lost. Over time, the true scale of Benxihu became accepted in histories and encyclopedias. It stands, to this day, as the deadliest coal mining disaster ever recorded. Remembering the numbers matters. Remembering the people matters more. Benxihu teaches 3 hard truths. 1. Gas and dust control is relentless work, every shift. 2. In an emergency, ventilation and evacuation save lives. Sealing is a last resort. 3. Safety culture is built on respect for workers, not production at any cost. If you found this deep dive useful, support the channel with a like and share, so more miners, students, and safety leaders can learn from Benxihu, 1942. Stay safe, learn always.